The next 60 seconds will challenge everything you think you know about Donald Trump. On a bustling city street, amid the din of traffic and footsteps, a chance encounter unfolds. Onlookers freeze as a homeless veteran's story emerges. The air grows thick with tension as Trump's demeanor shifts, surprising everyone present. Bystanders watch, breathless, as an unexpected moment unfolds. In mere seconds, lives change, sparking a nationwide conversation. Prepare to witness a side of the former president rarely seen, in a minute that defies expectations and reveals the power of human connection. Are you ready for this transformative moment? The bustling streets of New York City fell silent as Donald Trump's motorcade rolled to an unexpected stop. Trump noticed a figure huddled in a doorway, a tattered military cap visible atop a weathered head. Trump's gaze lingered on the veteran, his brow furrowing as he took in the man's threadbare clothes. For a moment, the former president hesitated, a flicker of uncertainty crossing his face. As Trump stepped towards the homeless man, his security detail tensed. The veteran, initially wary, met Trump's gaze with a mix of curiosity and resignation. Bystanders, realizing who had just appeared, began to whisper and raise their phones. "Thank you for your service," Trump said, his voice uncharacteristically gentle. "Can you tell me your story?" The veteran's eyes widened, surprised by the sincerity in Trump's voice. As he began to speak, Trump listened intently. The story that unfolded was one of sacrifice, struggle, and a system that had failed one of its own. Trump's expression changed as he listened, the lines on his face deepening. Those watching saw something they had rarely witnessed in the former president, a moment of quiet reflection and empathy. The veteran spoke of the difficulties of finding work, the breakdown of relationships, and the slide into homelessness. Trump's hand unconsciously moved to his heart, as if physically affected by the man's words. What happened next left everyone speechless. Trump removed his luxurious coat and draped it over the veteran's shoulders. The veteran's eyes filled with tears, not just from the warmth of the coat, but from the unexpected kindness. Trump leaned in, speaking softly to the man, their conversation now private. As they finished talking, Trump pressed something into the veteran's hand, a wad of cash substantial enough to make a real difference. As Trump prepared to leave, the veteran stood a little straighter, his shoulders back, his chin lifted. Something fundamental had shifted in those few minutes on a New York City sidewalk. As Trump prepared to leave, John's posture straightened, a flicker of pride rekindling in his eyes. But the veteran's story was far from over. The next few minutes would reveal a side of Donald Trump that would challenge everything people thought they knew about him. "Call me John," the veteran said, his voice gaining strength. Trump nodded, his usual bravado replaced by attentive silence. John's story unfolded like a tapestry of pain and resilience, each thread revealing the true cost of war. John spoke of his tours in Afghanistan, adrenaline-fueled missions that left him feeling invincible, followed by quiet moments of terror. He described losing his best friend to an IED, the image of his buddy's smile forever etched in his memory. Trump's face tightened, a mix of recognition and regret passing across his features. As John continued, the crowd around them grew. His words painted a vivid picture of life after war, sleepless nights haunted by echoes of gunfire, struggling to hold a job when every loud noise sent him spiraling back to the battlefield. John's mind drifted to happier times, a modest home, a loving family, a sense of purpose. Now those memories felt like a distant dream. "I tried, Mr. Trump," John said, his voice cracking. "The nightmares never stopped, and the VA, they just kept telling me to wait. Wait for appointments, wait for benefits, wait for someone to care." Trump listened intently, his eyes never leaving John's face. The veteran described losing his job, then his apartment, and finally his family. Each loss pushed him further into society's shadows. "I served my country," John said, eyes glistening, "but now I feel invisible. People walk by every day and it's like I don't even exist." The air hung heavy with emotion. Trump's face had transformed, the lines etched deeper, his eyes softer than anyone had seen before. It was as if John's words had physically settled on Trump's shoulders. What happened next left everyone speechless. Trump reached out, placing a hand on John's shoulder, a gesture simple yet profound in its humanity. "You're not invisible, John," Trump said, his voice low and filled with unexpected emotion. "Not anymore." In that moment, something shifted. It wasn't just about the money Trump had given or the coat he had shared. It was about recognition, about seeing the person behind the struggle. Trump turned to his aide and spoke quietly but with unmistakable urgency. The crowd held its breath, wondering what would happen next. Would this be another fleeting moment of kindness or the start of something more? The air in the crowded New York street crackled with anticipation. As John's heart-wrenching story faded, all eyes turned to Donald Trump. The usually boisterous former president stood motionless, his face a canvas of conflicting emotions. Trump's mind raced, memories of past statements about veterans clashing with the raw reality before him. His hands clenched and unclenched at his sides. The crowd watched, hardly daring to breathe, as Trump visibly wrestled with his next move. For a moment, Trump began to turn away, his instinct to retreat from this unscripted moment overwhelming. But something made him pause. In that suspended moment, his carefully crafted public persona cracked, revealing a glimpse of vulnerability. Trump's eyes closed briefly, his brow furrowed in concentration. When they opened again, there was a new resolve in them. He took a deep breath, squaring his shoulders. "John," Trump said, his voice low but firm, "I want you to come with me." The crowd's collective intake of breath was audible. John's weathered face registered surprise, then suspicion. "Come with you where, Mr. Trump?" he asked, his voice rough with emotion. Trump gestured to his waiting motorcade. "To my hotel. We're going to make some calls, get you the help you need. Today." The onlookers murmured in astonishment. Secret Service agents shifted uncomfortably, their training unprepared for this scenario. Trump's chief of staff approached, concern etched on his face. "Sir," he whispered urgently, "we haven't vetted this. The security risks—" Trump cut him off with a wave. "Figure it out. Make it happen." As the reality of Trump's offer sank in, John's eyes welled with tears. "Why?" he managed to choke out. "Why would you do this for me?" Trump's answer came without hesitation, his voice carrying unexpected sincerity. "Because you sacrificed everything for this country. It's time we sacrifice something for you." The crowd watched in stunned silence as Trump gently guided John towards the waiting car, his hand supportive on the veteran's back. Just before they reached the vehicle, Trump turned to address the gathered crowd. "This isn't about politics," he declared. "This is about doing what's right. John's story isn't unique. There are thousands of veterans who need our help. It's time we stopped talking and started acting." As Trump and John disappeared into the sleek black vehicle, the crowd erupted into a mix of cheers and excited chatter. Even as the motorcade pulled away, a question lingered. Was this truly the start of lasting change, or would it fade away like so many promises before? The crowd on that New York City street began to disperse, but the emotional impact of Trump's unexpected act of kindness lingered. Many found themselves wondering how they too could make a difference for veterans. Amidst the hopeful murmurs, a nagging question persisted. What would it take to create lasting change for all who had served? As the spectators drifted away, their phones buzzing with notifications of the viral video, a group of young professionals huddled together, eyes bright with inspiration. "We can't let this moment fade," one said, her voice trembling. "There has to be something we can do." Little did they know the answer was hiding in plain sight, within the very fabric of their daily lives. The key to transforming veterans' lives lay in an overlooked resource, the vast network of empty office spaces left in the wake of the work-from-home revolution. As the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the city streets, Sarah, a real estate developer, stood at her office window. Her heart heavy with the weight of Trump's encounter, she couldn't shake the image of John's weathered face from her mind. Suddenly, her eyes widened as an idea began to take shape. Sarah's mind raced with possibilities. She imagined those empty spaces transformed into transitional housing for homeless veterans, complete with job training centers and mental health support services. The potential was staggering, but one crucial piece remained elusive. How could corporate giants be convinced to see beyond their bottom line and recognize the value hidden within their unused real estate? Sarah's fingers flew across her keyboard as she began to draft a proposal. She knew it would take more than good intentions to make this vision a reality. It would require a delicate balance of appealing to corporate social responsibility and showcasing the potential financial benefits of repurposing these spaces. As she worked, Sarah's thoughts drifted to her own father, a veteran who had struggled to find his footing after returning home. This wasn't just about providing shelter. It was about creating a supportive community where veterans could rebuild their lives. Meanwhile, across town, a group of tech entrepreneurs who had witnessed Trump's act of kindness were brainstorming ways to leverage their skills. "We could create an app," one suggested, eyes alight with possibility. Something to connect veterans with resources, job opportunities, and each other. As dawn broke over the city, a movement was already taking shape. Social media buzzed with calls to action, and local businesses began pledging support. The story of Trump and John had become a catalyst, igniting a spark of change that was rapidly growing into a blazing fire of community action. As dawn broke on the seventh day of the veteran housing revolution, Sarah stood at her office window, her phone buzzing with messages from an anxious nation. The emotional high of the past week was fading, replaced by the sobering reality of the challenges ahead. Across social media, opinions on Trump's encounter with John, the homeless veteran, were sharply divided. "It's nothing but a publicity stunt," scoffed one critic, yet supporters saw it differently. "This is the leadership we've been waiting for," proclaimed another. Sarah's eyes scanned the rows of empty office buildings, seeing potential for a complete reimagining of veteran support. Her phone rang. It was Mark, one of the young professionals who had witnessed Trump's act of kindness. "Sarah, tech companies are offering to develop apps for veterans. Lawyers are volunteering to help with zoning laws. It's incredible." Sarah felt hope, but new worries clouded her mind. How could they ensure veterans like John wouldn't fall through the cracks of their grand plans? Across town, legal experts and city planners huddled in a makeshift war room, wrestling with specific challenges. Section 42(3) explicitly prohibits residential use in these zones, one planner pointed out frustratedly. The media circus showed no signs of abating. John, adjusting to his newfound fame, sat in a temporary shelter. "I never thought I'd be here," he murmured to a volunteer. "It's overwhelming, but I'm grateful." Political analysts debated the implications of Trump's actions. His team scrambled to respond to inquiries from around the world. Reports surfaced of other homeless veterans gathering in the area, hope in their eyes. Local shelters reported an uptick in veterans seeking assistance. Sarah received a message from a corporate CEO. "I want to help. Let's talk about repurposing our spaces." Her heart raced. This could be the breakthrough they needed, a public-private partnership to transform lives. As she typed a response, Sarah realized the question keeping her awake wasn't just about logistics. It was about creating lasting change, not just a fleeting moment of viral compassion. The answer lay in the stories of men like John, in understanding their struggles, resilience, and untapped potential. It was about creating a supportive community where veterans could rebuild their lives, find purpose, and reclaim their dignity. As John stepped into his new room at the Veterans Rehabilitation Center, the stark contrast with his recent life on the streets hit him like a wave. The crisp white walls, neatly made bed, and faint scent of disinfectant were a far cry from the cardboard box he had called home. His weathered hands trembled as he set down his meager belongings, the weight of this unexpected transformation settling heavily on his shoulders. The days that followed were a blur of therapy sessions and medical checkups. John found himself grappling with years of buried trauma, each memory threatening to undo his fragile progress. In therapy, he learned to identify and challenge negative thought patterns, gradually reducing the emotional impact of traumatic memories. As word of John's encounter with Trump spread, he became an unwitting symbol of hope for veterans nationwide. News outlets clamored for interviews, eager to share his story of redemption. John, still adjusting to life off the streets, found the attention overwhelming. He longed for anonymity, even as he recognized the power his story held to inspire change. In group therapy, John connected with other veterans who shared similar struggles. Their stories of loss, addiction, and abandonment echoed his own, creating a bond forged in shared pain and resilience. As weeks passed, John began to see glimmers of the man he once was, buried beneath years of hardship. Inspired by his second chance, John approached the center's director with an idea: a peer support program for veterans struggling to reintegrate into civilian life. Initially, doubt gnawed at him. Who was he to think he could help others when he was still putting his own life back together? But as he shared his experiences with fellow veterans, John realized his journey could offer hope to those who felt forgotten by society. As the rehabilitation program neared its end, John faced a new challenge: re-entering the world as a changed man. The prospect of finding a job and securing housing filled him with equal parts excitement and dread. But this time, he wouldn't be facing those challenges alone. The network of support he had built at the center, combined with the resources made available through Trump's intervention, gave John a fighting chance at a fresh start. Standing at the threshold of his new life, John took a deep breath, steeling himself for the journey ahead. He knew the road wouldn't be easy, but for the first time in years, he felt equipped to face whatever obstacles lay ahead. As he stepped out into the bustling city streets, John carried with him not just hope for his own future, but a determination to be a beacon of hope for others who had walked in his shoes. The bustling streets of New York City faded into the background as John boarded a bus bound for the Pacific Northwest. His hands, once trembling with uncertainty, now gripped a backpack filled with hope and possibility. As the cityscape gave way to rolling hills and towering pines, he wondered if the peace he'd found within the rehabilitation center could withstand the challenges ahead. Meanwhile, in Washington, D.C., Donald Trump's sudden appearance at a VA hospital left staff and patients stunned. The president moved from bed to bed, listening intently to veteran stories, his eyes filled with genuine concern. Gone was the brash demeanor that had defined his public persona. In its place stood a man transformed by a chance encounter with a homeless veteran named John. Trump's family noticed the change immediately. Melania observed a new thoughtfulness in his private moments. His children reported conversations that delved into themes of empathy and social responsibility. Even his closest advisors were caught off guard by his insistence on making unannounced visits to VA hospitals and homeless shelters. As John's bus wound through the Cascade Mountains, Trump found himself facing a crossroads. He announced a comprehensive overhaul of veteran care policies, including increased funding for mental health services and job training programs. His base was divided, with some applauding his new focus, while others questioned whether he had lost sight of his original platform. Yet something had fundamentally shifted within Trump. The encounter with John had cracked open a door to a part of himself long buried beneath layers of bravado and ambition. He began to see the world through a different lens, one that revealed the complex humanity behind the issues he had once addressed with simplistic solutions. As the sun set over the Pacific, John stepped off the bus into a world of possibilities he had never imagined. Unbeknownst to him, he was about to embark on a groundbreaking wilderness therapy program that would challenge everything he thought he knew about recovery from trauma. Back in Washington, Trump sat in the Oval Office, poring over policy briefs on veteran affairs and social services. His advisors noted a marked shift in his approach, a newfound patience for nuance and complexity. As he read through the statistics and recommendations, Trump's mind wandered to the face of the homeless veteran who had changed the course of his presidency. He realized that the true measure of his legacy would not be in poll numbers or Twitter followers, but in the lives he could touch and the change he could inspire. As the story of Trump and John faded from headlines, its impact endured, inspiring communities nationwide. Volunteer rates for veterans' causes soared and support programs flourished. Trump continued his presidency, often reflecting on that fateful encounter. John, now employed and housed, became an advocate for veteran support initiatives. Their unexpected connection remained a powerful reminder of empathy's transformative power. "That moment changed everything," John later said. "It showed me that everyone has the power to make a difference." As viewers were challenged to ask, how can we extend compassion to those around us today? The story of Trump and John reminds us that even small acts of kindness can bridge deep divides and spark lasting change.